Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. Today's going to be a really good, interesting topic. We've talked about it before. Everybody else has talked about it before, too. Before we get into everything, let me say hello to everyone. Hello, Frostbite, ACOGV, Space Miner, Ellie. Let's see who else is here. Metal Matt, welcome. Kinomine, welcome. Neil, always nice to see you. Ringmaster Ray, hey buddy. Hey, I want to get back out there and go to the coin shop with you. Might have to take a private trip myself because it doesn't look like I'm going to have that job come frequent. It's a relatively easier job, so everybody wants it. So I tend to get the hand-me-downs, which is okay. I don't mind. I'm kind of enjoying a little bit of extra time at home. Dude, by the way, everybody say congratulations to Ringmaster Ray. He's engaged. Last time I saw him, the dude really buffed out. His hair is awesome. His beard is awesome. You know, he looks great in a t-shirt. Heck, I wanted to marry him. So basically, just can't wait till you get the ring on the finger, dude. Barbara Wall, nice to see you again. Barbara Wall has been pretty lucky in this channel. She tends to win a lot of them. No, it's not rigged. Professor Rigdebortis saw to all that. Speaking of which, I wanted to bring to the table here the fact that I am working on Rig 9. So that is currently being worked on in the process. And wanted to let you know that that's in the process. It looks like for the original Rig series, this will be the finale. I think you'll be all impressed. My brother-in-law is working on the high-tech side of it. I've pretty much got everything scripted out. And yeah, the end of Yankees Wheel. Let's see what happens. And let's see what Professor Rigdebortis might have to say about that. I'm going to have to give him a call, see if he will contribute to the storyline. But no, oh, by the way, Frosty, just a little side note. I was actually somewhat incorrect. I do have a classic head 2.5 also, as well as a 5. Got this one from Matt, and then got the 5 from Chavella. So just wanted to let you know. We can talk about that later. So Ian's a little bit behind schedule. So I decided, well, I'll just start it. We'll get things up and rolling and see. We'll talk about a lot of things there. And, you know, I thought you might be coming, Frosty. So I thought I'd just let you see one of your favorite items here. Now watch him get ready to vomit. It's a coming. So basically the topic will be about Bitcoin versus gold. Ian and I were talking about that and talking about prices and spot prices and a whole bunch of other things. And he has a very interesting perspective on it. I know, Frosty, you don't think of him as a stacking element. There we go. Here we go. I told you he was going to vomit. You know, I got some medicine for that, dude. I got some medicine for that. I got some chicken soup, too. West Texas Stacker. Dude, love your channel. I just want to let you know I do love your channel. I enjoy watching it. And, you know, sometimes I don't comment because a little bit under the weather. It's Frostbite's cooking. That's really what it is. So basically, wanted to go ahead and let you know that Rig 9 is coming. It's going to be a process. It's going to be a much bigger project than I thought it was. And I thought it was going to be a big project. So, what can I tell you? This year has been an absolute wild ride. Aspiring alchemist, welcome. She's lurking, can't stay long. But that amazing big tiger silver bar, yeah, it's my only one I have right now. I'm thinking about making one or two others. I need to make the smaller one too. The smaller one was doing good, but when I started sawing it with the little tiny saw, the saw went off in a different direction. It was like it completely ruined the project. So I went ahead and started going ahead to make another one. I'm going to do that here in a little while. But this one here is my only one of the big ones. A prototype at 14.45 troy ounces. It was a lot of fun. In fact, I did a video on making it. So go check it out. So basically, all of us have been speculating, well, most of us have been speculating about Bitcoin and gold and how this is going to be. In fact, last Saturday, Frosty had a guest on talking about Bitcoin and the pros and cons from a different perspective than what most of us look at. I personally did a 1-year experiment: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, and XRP. Dogecoin, no pun intended, or maybe pun intended. Dogecoin was a real dog. Roo, roo. So basically, it was the worst of the worst. I made maybe about $99 in the year that I did that. Amy Harrell, welcome to the chat. Good to see you. So I maybe made about $99 in the process. And with Trump wanting to bring all the mining and all the drilling and all the everything back to within the borders of our country, I got out of crypto without wasting very much more and decided I was going to go ahead and take that money and move it into the mining stocks. And it did pretty well, but I will tell you that at one point I made about $4,500 in profit, and I thought it was going to continue. I should have got out, pulled that money out, and either waited for the stocks to come down and rebought or invested it in gold or silver. Lesson learned. So currently, last time I looked, it's about a little over $1,000 in profit. I'm going to wait until the next time it has a bull run, learn from my lesson, and either I'm going to buy silver or gold when it hits a peak again. But right now, that's not the case. And I personally think what's happening in the silver market is why the silver mines are not doing so well. What do I mean by that? We all have seen that a lot of the coin shops and all that want to buy less than spot, which is another side note I want to talk about Ian. But a lot of them are wanting to buy less than spot. And we've all kind of experienced that. So if you're selling, it don't matter what the spot price says it is, because they're still trying to fill the LBMA and the COMEX, and the refiners want the pure stuff. They don't want the 90%. They don't want the sterling. They don't want the alloy. So what's less pure than alloy? Because alloy silver takes time to refine out the silver against the other metals, usually copper. So what's less pure than alloyed medicine? Ore. You have to really do a lot more refining. Jackknife, welcome to the chat. You never know when it hits a peak. You have to use an educated guess, maybe make some mistakes, learn from your mistakes, take an educated guess, learn from the people that do better than you. So, you're never quite going to quite hit the peak. You're never going to quite hit the dip of the valley. So if you get somewhere on the rise or on the fall, then hey, that kind of works. So it is what it is. Sorry, but that's kind of the nature of the beast, so to say. Thank you, Ellie. Appreciate it. By the way, I wanted to let you know I'm currently at 2,266 subscribers. Thank you all so very much. And when I get to 5,000 subscribers, I'm going to give away 5 ounces of silver. But let me sweeten this pot a little bit better for all of you, and me too, and the channel. If we can get me to 3,000 subscribers before New Year's, I'll give away 3 ounces of silver. We'll have another party. We'll give away 3 ounces of silver to some wonderful person out there. And don't forget that December is the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter, for the members, there will be a giveaway for being members. We'll spin the wheel. Level 1, the members at level 1 will get a chance for 1 ounce of silver. Level 2 will get a chance for 2 ounces of silver. Also, tomorrow, I'm going to do what I tried to do last week, but last Saturday I wasn't feeling so well. We're going to try filming vertical and horizontal on a live stream. This is something that StreamYard has been offering that Frostbite does through a couple different programs. I don't think StreamYard will do as well as what Frostbite does, because the guy's a little computer genius. So so basically, little food for thought, that type of thing. So what was I talking about earlier with Ian? As you all know, I have had a little bit of a setback. I'm not going to let this setback stop me. We're going to build this channel. We're going to help the community. We're going to protect the community. And I'm going to make this channel as good as I can make it. So basically, in the process, though, I had a little setback because of the chemotherapy and not working as much. A lot of the reason because of chemotherapy. And I've had to sell my silver to pay some bills. I don't mind. That's what it's there for. I don't like selling. I'll sell when my back's to the wall and no other reason. But Ian gave me a very nice price, a price that other people, who I will not mention, and has given me a chance to get a very good price, and he's still going to make a good profit. So I'm going to put out a gratitude, hell yeah, kudos for Ian Everard, ARK Silver Gold Osmium. And for those of you who have not been to Ian Everard's website, it's still getting built, but he is going to be building a bigger, badder website. But he is very fair, much more fair than what other people have been. Again, I won't mention. And I want you to all to go to Ian's channel. Hold on a second. That's Ian right now. Hold on. Hey, how you doing? Can you reset your computer? That fixes a lot of my problems. Yeah, just reset the computer. See if that will fix it. That resetting usually fixes a lot of my problems. I'm currently streaming right now, and Ellie's putting in your contacts. I was just singing your praises how how you helped me through a bad time by giving me a nice price on silver. I'm telling them that they need to go to your place and do some business. You're welcome. You're welcome. So just call me back. Let me know what's going on. I sent you the link. All right. Bye-bye. Not so bad. I got a buddy who's got computer problems. So Low Tech Tiger is not the only person who has issues. That works for me. Yeah, Ian is great. A very nice gentleman. Just don't ever say osmium's a scam. He gets really upset. He starts growing hair. Anyway, all joking aside, Larry Singh, welcome to the channel. So anyway, getting back to what I was saying. So go to his site. He is very, very fair. And I don't think you will find very many places that will give you as good of a price and as good of service as Ian will. So check him out. I've bought lots of stuff with him over the last year or two that I've known him. I think maybe closer to 2 years. And he's also a big proponent of Citizens for Sound Money. We all love Citizens for Sound Money here. And once again, I am trying to get Chris Pritt to get closer and closer to Citizens for Sound Money. So there you go. Let me see. He just sent me a text. Bear with me here. All right. Let me fix this. All right. I'm going to resend. Resend. All righty, let's go ahead and let him know that I sent this a second time. I resent the invite. I resent you the invite. Let's see if that. Yeah, I resent you an invite. Hopefully that'll fix the problem. All right, bye-bye. All right, let me get back to the live stream. And here we go. So, by the way, thank you very much, Vincent, member for 9 months. So, as is typical for me, when we bring Ian on board, we have to mention.
In the past, Paul Revere was under instructions to warn us, 1, if by land, 2, if by sea. But that is history. Now we need to know more and move on. Now we have to think about 3, if by air, and 4, if by internet. The British are coming. The British are coming.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome Ian to the channel. Hey, Ian, how you doing?
Hey there, Tiger.
Hey, love you to death, man. But this one's still my favorite Brit.
Did
you rank up there? But that's Diana.
Yeah, I don't ever remember her face looking that full. She always looked a bit bony to me.
Well, that may be so, but I loved her to death. So. And, absolutely love her to death. Hate seeing the family have their issues, but I don't think they'd have their issues if Diana was there. She put her foot down, put those boys back in place.
Yeah.
So, everyone, welcome Ian to the chat. We have a very good chat topic for you today. So, we are going to talk about gold and Bitcoin. But before we do, how's business coming?
It's been really good, thank you.
Great,
Yeah.
great. Ringmaster Ray, welcome to Tiger Cub. Thank you very much for joining. By the way, go over and see Ringmaster Ray's channel. He does a coin trading type of thing every Saturday. It's a good time. So are they buying or selling more now?
Mainly buying. We're mainly selling. Did do a bit of buying today. Just bought some interesting, bit controversial at the moment. Just got some really nice 1980 pandas.
Nice.
84, 85. Yeah, 84 and 85s.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, any type of gold, even if it says China on it. You know, gold is silver.
Yeah, I mean, they come in and out. They used to hold a high premium. It used to be a $200 premium, you know, for an early 80s panda. But we will see. I'll probably put them out at spot and see what happens.
Well, hopefully you'll still do good with them. So, is it more silver transactions or more gold transactions?
By weight, silver. By value, by value, probably, silver is still the bulk of our business. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I called you out earlier because you did a very nice job for me financially, which we talked about. And I told him to get in touch with you. So if your phone starts ringing off the hook, it's Tiger's fault.
Okay.
So you got any specials or any deals going on?
Yeah, I've got all that Silver Dragon stuff that you sold me.
That's true.
Let's see if we can devalue the brand.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh,
I did warn him. I'm his St. George.
yes, you did. Yes, you did. I just wish that conversation would have been nicer than what it was, but I can't.
It was pretty amenable. And thank you so much for putting on a live response.
I appreciate you coming up on board. I actually didn't think he would get my message, but you know, he's always been good to me and good to the channel here. So, you know, it was nice of him to come up. But no, to tell everyone in the chat, my strategy was to sell my pores because at the current market, it plus or minus maybe close to what I bought them for. But the big reason is I want something that is not going to take much education for my wife to sell if something ever happens to me. So I'm trying to leave at the house pure stacking, pure weight, as little numismatic as possible, which I do in addition to what I call my death letter. And I did a video on that, by the way. So please go see that death letter. It's going to help you prepare your family for your demise and for them to know what to do instead of walking into a shop saying, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what to do with this. And then someone takes advantage of them. So please, it's the second time I did that video. The first one was called You're Dead, Your Family's in Trouble. I did that about 2 years ago. This one I think was much better done. I call it the death letter. And please prepare your families. That's what it's there for. But no, I sold the Silver Dragon stuff and other pores is going over to Ian as we speak. And, you know, the regular stuff, I'm not going to go ahead and sell because I want that to be left for the wife.
What's that tiger bar in the middle?
Oh, how you like that? That's so far my only one.
Oh, my.
That's
awesome.
One. I'm going to make another one. This is my prototype, 14.45 troy ounces. It was poured open back.
Okay.
I'm going to try pouring a couple of them with the flask completely closed and seeing how good I do.
Oh, I like that pour effect.
Yeah, I also have a smaller mold to work with. I was working on that. And as I was sawing the silver, the saw went into a weird direction and completely ruined the product.
Oh
So
no.
I melted it. I'll make something again at a later point.
How did you make the mold for that one?
I got a plastic or synthetic mold from Maskman Metals,
Okay.
and I did a sand cast with it with an open back.
Oh, so you just pressed it into a sand mold.
Well, I didn't quite press it. I pressed the sand around it.
Oh, over it. Okay.
Okay. I did a video on that. It's
I'll have to watch that.
Oh, yeah.
I need to have a go. I was looking at induction kilns this morning. I was thinking, ooh,
okay.
shall I get one and have a play around?
Well, if you do, I also did a product comparison on that. Okay, so there's a video on that where I compared the 2 Auto versus Tabletop.
Okay.
Okay, Tabletop's the brand name. And Tabletop is a subsidiary company of PNC. I personally don't like the 2 Auto. You know, it's made in China. You get very little support. Where a Tabletop, if something happens, they will go as far as if you don't think you have the skill set to fix it or don't have the time. My issue is usually time. You mail it to them, and they'll fix it and mail it back to you. You know, I have 2 top-loading kilns, so that way if one breaks, I got one to still play with.
And those are those resistance ones or induction?
I'm not sure how to answer that.
So resistance takes a fair while to heat up. Induction does it in a few minutes.
It's very fast, so it must be induction. It's a whole lot faster than what the 2 Auto is. And I also like it because the crucibles are shorter. They're wider, but they're shorter. So with the 2 Auto, they're more narrow and taller.
It gives you more options of what you're melting.
Well, not only that, but if you got silver at the bottom of the crucible and you tilt it up, now it's got speed going into the mold.
Yeah.
Where if it's shorter and you tilt it up, it doesn't have that much room to gain momentum.
Right.
And less likely to pour out of the mold and all over the place, and then you got to start all over again.
I'm really impressed with that Tiger Bar.
Well, I'll be willing to make you one if you tell me so.
Do you know what would be an incredible product? You could do people's pets.
Okay. So what? Have some masked men make?
Yeah, have a photograph of somebody's dog, or
That's pretty cool.
It would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, it would be the gift for somebody who has everything.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
Mm.
Isn't that the truth? That's something I didn't think of.
I've got a friend. He's called Lewis. Actually, he does pet portraits. You could team up with him, and when he gets a commission to do a pet's portrait, he could upsell and get a 14-ounce pet silver cast bar.
That's not so bad. I'm planning on doing a whole lot more pours, so maybe he can work with Mask Man. Go ahead and make some sort of plan where he makes a really awesome portrait.
Yeah.
Sends it to Mask Man, who will send me the mold to put into the cast.
Does he 3D print the right?
Oh, see the relief on that?
Yeah, I know.
I got other things that he made that I haven't quite got around to making, including, but not limited to, trying to make a pour of Stack Collector, which those of you who don't know, every 2 weeks I do a live stream with Frostbite Coins where we talk about different things, where you take a stacker and a collector or numismatist, and the symbiosis that happens in which both people do come ahead, and then we take it to another level where we go ahead and try to get the community as protected as possible against any number of things, scammers, fakes, that type of thing. So the next one is coming out Monday evening. So it'll be on Frostbite's channel. So everyone, please get ready to go see that. We've got something amazing lined up for all of you to watch, and that whole thing. So let's go ahead and talk about today's topic.
Yeah.
Today's topic is Bitcoin gold. We have had a number of very interesting things happen pretty recently with gold. A lot of us talk about it all the time, so Ian and I were talking about what's going on with gold and Bitcoin prices. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to shut up and let you have it from here. Are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I don't know why it's not sharing. It's giving me a hard time. Why don't I do this? Because remember I told you when computers go goofy?
You restart them.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I'm going to pop out for a second. You'll still be on. I'll let you roll with it, and I'll pop right back in.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure many people have done it before, and I think Rafi Farber has talked a lot about the Bitcoin gold ratio, but it's an interesting comparison, and it got me thinking, what are the reasons behind people would purchase Bitcoin? And why is it called coin? I mean, you even get these Bitcoin silver rounds, which is, if it's supposed to be digital gold, why does it need a physical representation? But then what can we learn by looking at the ratio? I mean, it depends which peaks you look at, but it looks like Bitcoin valued in gold peaked out in 2021. When you're just looking at the spot gold and Bitcoin price, and that peaked out around 37 ounces of gold. So you needed 37 of those to buy one of these, but not the silver one, obviously, the digital version. And now I think the ratio is around 23. So has gold gone up and Bitcoin gone down, or has Bitcoin gone up and gold has gone up faster? Lots to think about. So, and I've been probably a bit harsh on people who are pro Bitcoin, thinking back, because it's done really well for some people. If you bought it at heck, when I first heard about it, it was $6,000. That would have been a nice move if I'd bought a few Bitcoin at $6 and sold them at, if I'd managed to get out at the top at 124. But is it real? I mean, on this, I think I need even better glasses than this. It's got the supposed qualities of Bitcoin written on this, stamped onto this round. Digital, decentralized, peer-to-peer. Is it decentralized? It seems like yes, the calculations and the proof of work, it's numerous Bitcoin mining machines around the world, but it does seem to be becoming more and more centralized when you've got big players like MicroStrategies. Michael Saylor, I think that's his name, has got a huge part of the Bitcoin world. The Bitcoin ETFs, I think, is 16, 17, 80% of the Bitcoin market holdings. And then I heard this, when was it? A couple of months ago. It was around the Israel-Iran 12-day war. And I hadn't had this verified, but I did hear somebody say that Iran is one of the largest, if not the largest, Bitcoin miner. because to get around the sanctions on Iranian oil, they would use their oil to generate electricity and use that electricity to mine and do proof of work on Bitcoin. And thinking about how rapidly that 12-day war came to an end, did the fact that if Iran was knocked out of being a functioning country, they would stop mining Bitcoin. And then you've got a multi-trillion-dollar potential cascade. About a year and a half ago, I had a local guy came in the shop. He was a incredibly bright guy, coder. He grew up learning about computers and coding and crypto and blockchain before he could talk. His mother was high up in the FBI in all of this electronic stuff. And he spent an hour explaining to me why he would never touch Bitcoin, because if a certain amount of miners stopped mining at once, the whole system would collapse and it wouldn't be able to be put back together again. Now, he seemed very credible. I sort of followed his chain of thought and his reasoning, and he wasn't anti-crypto. In fact, he owns a bit of almost every other crypto. But that was his concern about Bitcoin, that there is a flaw in the hardware side of it. Well, not the hardware, but yeah, on how it's sustained by the mining. You know, the mining doesn't just produce Bitcoin, it verifies the transactions and keeps proof of work. So it relies on continuous computing power to maintain the system. And that consumption just keeps increasing. So at some point, the costs to maintain it could easily exceed the benefit of it. And at that point, who's going to maintain the system? So that would be a concern of mine.
Good going. Thanks for keeping everyone entertained while I reset everything. Let's see about
so that's a few points I was pondering on, but I guess the bigger picture is, you know, I think I saw in the comments about psychology. We've got some ratios here. We've gone again.
Okay. We were talking about this yesterday, and in 2021, the price of Bitcoin was 49,000 plus. The price of gold was almost 1,800, and the ratio was basically 27 and change. So
at one point in 2021, it got to 37 out. It needed 37 ounces of gold to buy one Bitcoin.
So at that point, you know, 37. Here it's at 27, but I'm sure that you knew more.
Well, it could be the average price. It depends. Yeah, I mean, when you see the price of gold for 2021 was that, I have no idea how they worked that out.
Yeah, and basically nowadays
because you see, sorry to talk over you, but if you
go ahead.
I mean, the Bitcoin now is what, 90 something thousand, not 120.
True. At one point this year, it was about 120.
24.
Yesterday, it was 86 something.
Oh, okay. You got the nail there. Awesome. Okay. So the ratio is down to 21 or 20. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Took 21 coins.
Okay.
But with it going back up, I'm sure that number has changed. And the max that I saw around 2025 was this. Now, what I told you at that time was that I was thinking, or actually I did, for a year, I did a 1-year experiment on cryptocurrency in which I did 4 different types of crypto, not only because I wanted to see what myself would have happened, but I also wanted to let everyone in the chat know what was going on, all the subscribers and members. And I only made in a year maybe about $99. I had Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, and XRP. And pun intended or not, Dogecoin was the big dog of them all.
Can I just interrupt before the comments disappear? Can you put Ron Spencer's comment up so we can talk about that in a minute?
Ron Spencer.
at 546. Awesome.
This one?
Yeah. So sorry to interrupt you. I'll let you finish.
No problem. So at the time, I was saying I took it all out of crypto, put it all into the mines. You know, I got gold royalty, uranium royalty, gold mining, uranium mining, silver, copper, tungsten, and I think that's about it. And at one point, I had in the profit margin about $4,500, and being new, I thought, well, it was just going to keep going up. Well, I should have just took my winnings and left the casino.
Yeah. This is the perception. This is one of my understandings, that Bitcoin seems to have more utility when it's going up, and it looks like it's going to carry on going up. That has a utility, and I think that sort of ties in about the Ron Spencer's comment. What value does it provide? Now, if Bitcoin was decentralized, i.e., not part of the system, if it was nothing to do with government, and if the transactions were private, then I think that all that work does have some value. But I don't, from what I understand, every transaction or fraction of a transaction is recorded. Every Bitcoin, and then when every Bitcoin is cut up into Satoshis, it's still linked back to the original Bitcoin. So everything that has ever happened from the creation of that Bitcoin to its moving around is recorded. So for me, that's less utility. Now, the argument people give, yes, you can transmit it. You can give Bitcoin to anyone around the world almost instantly with very low fees. Yes, but you're still stuck with Bitcoin.
I understand that.
So my limited experience when I've been paid occasionally in Bitcoin, I tell the client, yeah, I'll take it. But the amount of dollars I get when I transfer it to dollars is what you have paid me, not what you think you've paid me. It's like, and by the time you take off the fees, the off-ramp fees, the percentage, and the it's not cheap to move it around. So my concern is people have been sold an illusion of independence and privacy and a non-government and a non-banking system. With the mainstream banks, with the ETFs now, and I mean, heck, you can even put it in your pension. And it's like, I couldn't believe it when I saw that. You can put crypto in your IRA.
Well, another thing that I watched when I watched Frostbite's the live stream last Saturday, and he's going to have a part 2 this Saturday, tomorrow, was the person had mentioned that one of the advantages of Bitcoin was that you could take it across country borders and not have to deal with immigration and
Sure.
and.
I mean, technically, you're breaking the law if you enter the US and you've got your code, and in your code you've got one Bitcoin, and say that Bitcoin's worth $90,000. Technically, that's a financial instrument, and you should declare it.
Well, that sounds reasonable.
Well, it is a financial instrument. I mean, you could have, I don't know what's the equivalent. So you could have 21 of these stitched into your clothing. Now, I mean, I know, but yeah, of course the X-ray would blow that up. But then, okay, we'll say. So the idea that that your average person is going to be allowed to move large amounts of wealth around without being followed and tracked, I just don't see it. Because if every transaction is recorded, surely every on and off ramp transaction is therefore recorded.
That would make sense.
So, but if you want to store your wealth permanently as Bitcoin, how would you cope with that volatility? We've been up to 124, we're down to 90. It could be 80 tomorrow, it could be 120. So you could never take a loan or give a loan in Bitcoin, because you'd have no idea what your liability would be. And would anybody lend their Bitcoin not knowing what they would be, required to pay back? So,
well, one of the things I want to point out that you'd mentioned to me yesterday when we were talking was I mentioned that, if I get back to a point where I make, say, $4,500 in excess, I made a question to you. If you were me, would you pull it out and wait for the prices to drop to throw it back into repurchasing the stocks? Or would you go ahead and buy precious metals, silver or gold? And what you told me?
I'm suspicious of anything that relies on government, banks, central banks, digital recording. Because stocks are digitally recorded. You haven't got paper certificates, have you?
Pretty much not.
No. So your broker or your brokerage company holds title and they're the custodian. So they can sell them with or without your permission if they were told to. Or they could delay you from selling them if you ask them to sell them. So for me, the risk is too great that when the financial collapse comes, and it's coming, everything gets caught up in that, and then everything gets transferred to the new digital dollar. So you still got your stocks, and say you've got a 10x on your mining stocks, but now you can only sell them and get digital dollars in your Fed Now digital account. But those dollars you got from that sale are coded, and they can say, okay, well, automatically we'll deduct your 38% capital gains. Automatically we'll deduct your wealth tax. Automatically we'll deduct it. Well, actually, we're going to take a bit more because the country's in crisis. We need to take more tax. They can just suck whatever they want out of any gains you've made and also prevent you from spending the gains you've made or controlling what you can spend it on.
Yeah.
That risk is just too high, and lots of people have seen part of the picture. I mean, the great taking talks about, it's a trap and everything will be taken. Well, maybe not taken, but maybe just controlled to such a point you'll have little use of your gains.
That makes total good sense.
That's my concern, and it's tempting. I mean, I had a client just sold 1.2 million in gold and silver. So we arranged that for him. We got him paid out quick. He was tying that up in some crypto thing that he can't have access to it for a year. And he was convinced he's going to get 20 times return on it. Would you do that if somebody, on somebody's say so?
Not really.
I just think there's too much to go wrong, isn't there?
Yeah.
And I think we're in the situation, we've got this blase complacency that of course we'll always be able to buy and sell stocks and shares. No one will ever interfere with that, but I think they will. Now, I don't want to upset some of my mining friends who own mining companies, but
well,
I just don't see in the future that they're going to allow the general public to profit from anything dramatically. Yeah. Somehow it's going to get ruined. So give me 22 of those hidden in a place of my choice, known only by people that I trust, rather than one of those. To me, it's, and I would even say that why do we presume that if we make a big gain on our stocks and shares, I haven't got any, we'll be able to keep the winnings. But what a lot of people describe the stock market as a casino, the system as a casino.
Well, there's some truth with that too.
And I think it is when you look at some of the valuations. And I agree, the argument, a lot of the miners are undervalued compared to the amount of cash they're making.
I'm rolling with the general concept that President Trump wants to bring everything in house.
But going back to the casino analogy, the house always wins. And unless it's a Trump casino, then he went bankrupt. But I don't quite know how that happened. Maybe somebody can explain his incredible business acumen, how he bankrupted 3 casinos. But anyway, generally, the house always wins. So what does that mean? It means the players lose. 1 or 2 might walk away with winnings and shout about it, but everybody else loses. So this is a real and present danger to that the system collapses and stocks and shares and bonds and money market, cash on deposit, large amounts in checking accounts, you name it, all gets rolled into the digital dollar, and then there's complete control of it.
True.
Taxation will be instant. You'll be taxed and then told you've been taxed. There'll be, they might take so much that even if you've got a right to appeal, you can't afford to appeal. Or you may have a budget. No, you can only spend $10,000 this year on your tax lawyer. So you won't be able to get the representation you need to take back what has been unfairly taken, because it's been taken. There's no garnishing of wages or anything, or seizing of property. They just take it from your bank.
That makes some sense. So, the one of the people said, how much money did I invest on the stocks of the cryptos? I didn't invest a whole lot.
You gambled.
I put in anywhere from $200 to $500
on crypto. You gambled
on crypto, on the stocks. That's basically the dollar figure I put in.
Yeah.
And so
I would disagree with anybody who says you invest in crypto. You gamble.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just telling you what my experience was.
No, I'm just being a bit semantic about the use of words. There's a huge difference between gambling, investing, and speculating. There's three sort of stages, isn't it?
Well, as far as the mines, I'm thinking I'm doing more speculating, simply because Trump wants to mine, wants to drill, wants to bring everything in house.
You're
reliant on other countries.
You're such a fanboy, aren't you?
I trust no one. 100%.
You're such a fanboy. Trump. I can tell you exactly what Trump wants to do. He wants to stay out of prison. He wants to be the richest person in the world, and that's about it. Everything else is an accident waiting to happen.
Don't know where to go with that, Ian. All I'm going to tell you is I don't trust anyone 100% outside of Jesus.
The average politician, including all presidents and recent presidents, are not the sharpest tools in the box. A lot of them are very good at manipulation, and they're good at drumming up support. But when it comes down to it, most of them seem to be controlled, and the billionaires get exactly what they want, whoever's in power, and everybody else gets a bit poorer.
Well, there's a lot of truth to that. Now, I've talked about that on previous times when we talked about Montague Norman, when we talked about the Federal Reserve purchasing power of the dollar.
Yeah.
Currently, right now, when talking about the price of Bitcoin versus the price of gold. When I was a teenager, my dad would frequently tell me the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And I used to think that he was just upset that he wasn't making more money, but that was a teenager with a teenage brain and no real world experience. And after I got into precious metals, into the community, and I started doing my own channel, and I started doing my own research, I was like, Dad was right. Dad was absolutely right.
We've got some good comments coming up here. Let's not miss them.
Okay.
Jackknife 616. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, there are some speculative investments are high risk, but you're using information and you're researching and you're taking a risk.
True.
So yes, you know, although gambling, I mean, I've never played at a casino, but I think roulette is the is the fairest, isn't it? I think roulette is the fairest statistically. I think it's 49% to the gambler and 51% to the house or something on average. So you sort of have control on that.
That maybe so. I never looked at the statistics on gambling. I really wasn't much of a gambler. Played a little blackjack once in the blue moon.
Oh, we got a good comment here. Yeah, I mean, the issue we have, we're in an inflationary fiat system. And there's two ways that it ends en masse, i.e. as a nation, is collapse if we stop inflating it, and catastrophic collapse if we carry on inflating it. So yes, this is part of the reason we have to if the system doesn't keep bailing out the banks and keeping everything moving, the system will collapse catastrophically. It's just now we can speculate when that's going to happen.
That makes some sense. I mean,
and I would rather be. I mean, I've used the analogy, and other people have started to use it. I think if you had to get on to the Titanic on its maiden voyage, well, it's only passenger carrying voyage. If you had to get on, yet you knew it was going to sink, how early would it have been to get into the lifeboat?
I'd have been sleeping in it.
I would never have gone to my cabin. I would get into the middle of the lifeboat and get settled and ride it out. I wouldn't risk if you knew it was going to sink but you didn't know when. Get in a lifeboat. Yet the Titanic only had lifeboats for half the passengers, roughly. I think
that's about right. Although I don't know.
The fiat system, there's only a lifeboat for about 1/20th of the passengers. About 80-90% of perceived wealth is going to get eviscerated, is going to disappear. Or it's going to be apparent, but it was never there in the first place. And that's I'm sort of guessing, but I think only about 10% of perceived wealth actually exists, because only about that amount could get into real things till real things are just unaffordable. Or we've entered the digital current where you're not allowed to buy real things anymore.
Well, that's kind of where they've been kind of moving towards.
That's a good comment. Almost some of the lifeboats were not fully loaded. Yeah, because a lot of them were launched off before they even reached the full capacity. But if we make the presumption, and I'm making the presumption that this stuff is the lifeboat, there is only a finite amount of retail gold and silver. There's only a finite of any form of gold and silver. So if that's the lifeboat, the longer people leave to buy it, they might keep multiplying their perceived gains, but until they've converted it into something real and private, they haven't banked their winnings. They're still got everything's on the table.
Okay. So one of the things that we did talk about, because I'm going to go back to what we said when I said, if you were me and you were in that position, would you have gone with waiting to reinvest back into it when the prices dipped? Would you have gone into silver? Would you have gone into gold? Do you remember what you told me?
Silver.
You said that without a hesitation.
Yeah.
You didn't even inhale to get more oxygen to speak.
No.
And your reason for wanting to go more silver than gold?
Well, partly when, and I haven't told the full story publicly for a long time, but partly when God told me to start a bullion company, he gave me the name ARK Silver. There was a clue in that. Like, focus on silver, learn about silver, help people buy silver.
Okay.
So why did God tell me that? And he did, and I can prove it empirically.
Well,
So if anybody thinks there isn't a God, I can prove to you on numerous ways out of actual events, documented, verified. So he told me to call it ARK Silver.
that would make sense considering
So therefore, I think silver should be everybody's core.
I think it was
Interesting point there, Jackknife 616. The margins are higher on silver, but partly there's a reason. It's heavy, it's bulky, it costs more to ship. But yes, I do agree that could be a motivation. And I do my best that I can to help people make the best decision.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody said to me, I live in an apartment and I've only got safe storage space, and they say it's only this size or whatever, or I need to be able to move with everything I own quickly, I would say gold. Do not buy silver. So yeah, I agree. There is a motivation to sell what gets you the highest profit. I totally agree. That is a motivation, Jackknife 616.
Well, there's another part
But I think I'm being, I really do try to help people buy the best for their situation, for their expectations, for their hopes, for their dreams, for their situation, for their existing holdings. I do my best to have a look at the whole. But I'd go back to that comment as well, Jackknife 616. The gold silver ratio is going to correct dramatically. It has already. We've come from 126 to 80. So when it was 126, you should have been buying silver even with the higher premiums, because you could turn that into more gold now as a non-reportable event. An exchange is non-reportable. It's not a tax event. So there's no capital gains, zero. And I don't know what the math will be, but you might have got 10, 15% more gold. So that ratio is going to carry on correcting. So why will the gold silver ratio correct? The gold silver ratio will correct because it comes out of the ground at 7, 8, 9 to 1. The bulk of silver is then used in tiny amounts, so it becomes practically unavailable. So we're practically destroying silver, whereas every year the gold stack increases by about 2%. So there's more and more year on year physical gold above ground, to the point that the best estimates I've seen and calculations of the above ground is there's a 2 ounce. Where's that there? So let's say 3. So there's 3 ounces of silver. There's about 3 ounces of silver above ground in refined form to every ounce of gold. So the practical ratio is, say, 3 to 1. Also, as gold keeps going up and silver keeps going up, at some point, I mean, 4,000, that's 4,060 spot, $100 premium. So that's 4,000, say it's $4,200. A lot of people haven't got $4,200. I mean, yes, the argument is, well, when you could buy fractional gold. But I would say silver is fractional gold. And also getting back to that, the profitability, our markup, our cut on silver per ounce is less now when silver is $50 spot than it was when silver was $18 spot. So we're taking 1/3 of the percentage we were taking when it was 18. So we have not been increasing our margin as spot has gone up. Now, a lot of dealers have, because that's their business model. They do it as a percentage. So yes, there is some truth into what you're saying. But I do feel I have a fiduciary obligation to do the best for my clients. I really do.
I've actually seen you do that, and with me too.
Yeah, and again, let's talk about the nature. Well, I've stated, and I haven't heard anybody prove to me that I'm wrong. When you buy silver, you're not buying gold. You're buying.
Go into that.
You've always got the option to change it into gold. Silver and gold are the primary precious metals, the primary monetary metals. Now, people can say, oh, no, silver's not. No, silver is 100% a monetary metal and an industrial metal. Because if it was just an industrial metal, it would be trading around the price to keep silver mines open to minimize the deficit. And we're in the 5th year of structural deficit of more silver being needed than is being produced. So that would put it around in the $20 range. I mean, I think some mines can produce at 14, some make money at 25. So let's say it's $20. Well, why is it $50? I mean, copper, I don't know what the figures is the cost to produce, but the cost to buy this copper is not much more than it is the cost to produce it, because it hasn't really at the moment got a monetary use. So the fact that silver is 2.5 times its cost of production from a primary silver mine proves that it is a monetary metal. It's taking on a larger, and so the bigger that gap from spot to the average all-in sustaining cost of a silver mine.
Mm-hmm.
And bear in mind, the bulk of silver is a byproduct. So it's going to get produced and it will get sold. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's a penny. Doesn't matter if it's $100 an ounce. The copper mining, the zinc mining, the lead mining, the gold mining is going to carry on. So if you factor that in, silver is becoming more and more of a monetary metal just by the price action. And now we're up to, 2 ounces there, $100. That's pretty compact for $100, isn't it? Just a 2 ounce, that's not huge. So it's increasing in wealth density, and it's always exchangeable for gold. There's always a market for silver, largely underpinned by the insatiable industrial need for it to make higher value products, which have to have silver. So you can always sell your silver, and you can, for now, you'll always be able to buy gold. So you can make that exchange. You can do that through a dealer, or you could do that privately. You could sell your silver, get the dollars and use the dollars to buy gold, or you could arrange with a dealer to make an exchange. We've done many exchanges for people, gold into silver, a lot when it was in the 120 ratio. And those clients now have got a lot more, a wealth by playing that ratio.
That makes sense. Like you said, there's very, very few primary silver mines out there.
And they're not really coming online. I mean, because silver has been so low for so long from the 2011 peak, not only have the exploration not been done, the geologists who can do the exploration have not been trained. The miners who can do the mining have not been trained. We've lost a whole generation of capacity to find mines and open them up and produce them, run them.
I think there's an additional component to this. Now, this is my personal opinion, is with the and I mentioned this before you came on board, was with the issue with I think silver mining is not doing well, as I've noticed with the price of the price per share.
The shares aren't performing, are they?
No, and the reason I think is because the backlog, the price of silver had gone up. Everybody's selling to cap out. At the same time, you got different countries.
Yes, but the retail selling is a very small part, particularly in the States.
I'll give you that, but
it's a tiny. It doesn't really move the dial.
Well, I'll give you that, but what I'm saying is, with India and China wanting to take physical claim and depreciating the LBMA, who then was getting money, silver sent to them by COMEX, which is depreciating COMEX, they want their stockpile replenished. The refiners are only wanting to take the pure because it's easier to make the COMEX bars with, and then they don't want things like the Constitutional or Sterling, And then you look at mines, the mines, you got the ore, that's even more amount of resources and energy to get the silver out of the ore. So why in the world put a lot of make the silver mines work as much? That just they're not going to want to take it because they're saying no to 90 and 92.5%. That's my own personal viewpoint on it. Some people might agree or not agree with me. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. Yeah, what's your take on it?
Oh, you said a lot then. Give me a summary.
Okay. The refiners are only want to take pure for the reasons I mentioned.
So there's several reasons for that. One I've heard is that there's a shortage in nitric acid, and nitric acid is key for taking the silver, dissolving the silver into silver nitrate to separate it out. That's the process they traditionally use. And there's literally a shortage of the acid. Two is that they're so backed up with converting doré and concentrate. And three, if they haven't got the capacity, they're going to focus on what is easiest and most profitable.
I'm going with the easiest and more profitable.
And there's also going to be pressure. We know there's a structural deficit. I mean, unless the Silver Institute have been lying for 7 years, there's a deficit last year of 235 million ounces. So everything that's come from retail selling, to me, it looks like it's getting converted into 1,000-ounce bars and going into the industrial uses. The mints are curtailing production because traditionally they lease their silver, produce their product, sell their product, and pay the lease back. But the cost to lease went through the roof, up to 30% annually, or 100% annualized if you were leasing on a day-to-day basis. So the mints cut back their productions, and that coincided with a small uptick in demand about 3-4 weeks ago. Hence, a lot of product was out of stock. Maples, eagles, pretty well all sovereign coins. At one point, it was I could only get kangaroos. That tells me how thin the retail market is and how susceptible it is to different pressures and situations, that we can run out of retail silver. And circling back, that's why we started working way back with Silverback in the day, selling their slices of the Comex bars. It was an independent, low-cost way of providing retail-friendly-ish or friendly silver without the heavy premiums. Because every time the retail demand picks up, the wholesalers jack up the prices, and us retailers, we track that. And some retailers take advantage and even add a bit more on because the demand is so high that somebody will buy it without shopping around to see if they're getting a good deal. So this whole refiner situation is there isn't spare capacity, and they're going to, one, do what's most profitable. Two, are they not going to do what they're told to do? If they have a line of credit with a bank or something, they may be under duress to produce what they're told to produce.
Yeah, that makes some sense. By the way, thank you very much, Check Stacker, for the $5 super chat. I'm going to go ahead. Oh, I can't do that. I'm going to give out 5 free memberships to people here. Jackknife got one. Space Miner, Liberty, Lightning, and the Lion. Snipey Mikey Pepsi, and Joey Libs. Congratulations on memberships. I hope you enjoy them and keep coming and seeing the videos.
That's a good comment from Ron Spencer you pulled up there. It is the time lag for this nation to start producing enough of all these critical metals it's too long. And I'm convinced from what I've observed and what I hear from people on the ground that we are in a full-on war with China. Now, it's not a kinetic war. I hope it never is. But the consequences of a full-on commodity war can be pretty serious. You know, we've built up a dependency on so many metals now. I was researching copper production, and I found out the other week Arizona sends copper ore to China to get it smelted. Isn't that crazy?
Say that one more time. I want to make sure I heard that right.
Copper ore from Arizona gets sent to China to get smelted. We haven't got the capacity here. So, you know, that's one of the most basic yet essential metals for electrification. You know, the so-called AI computer age. You know, hundreds of thousands of tons of copper.
Yeah.
And yet we import refined copper, and we have to get some of our copper ore refined in China. And
that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So now partly that's environmental, partly that is, yes, the cost of doing it here is higher with the existing or previous EPA regulations. They don't want us to poison the land and the water for thousands of years. In China, that's not been an issue. It's been,
but
it's been a cost they thought of worth paying to get the economy to overtake the US.
Well, here's the issue. You know, the byproducts are polluting the air, polluting the water. You know, it all gets shared eventually with the rest of the planet. So
yes, except, I mean, if you look at the groundwater pollution in China, that is a China issue. That it's not like that polluted groundwater is going to spread out to other continents. It stays in the ground in China, and a large percentage of their water reserves now are so polluted they can't even use it for industrial uses. It's so polluted.
Okay.
So that's that doesn't become a worldwide issue. Now, yes, burning coal, that changes and I know a lot of people go, oh, yeah, climate warming, it's all a scam. It's not. My dad's a scientist. He's still alive and kicking, a very smart guy. He started studying and looking at the facts in the 1950s, and he looked at research that had been done for 50 years before that. So he's got over a century's worth of data and study and information, and the understanding of a chemist and a scientist that a tiny change in a reaction, parts per billion, can completely change the reaction. It's the butterfly effect. Literally, a tiny change, can really upset weather patterns, upsets temperatures, And we have dumped so much carbon monoxide into the atmosphere, we are changing the weather patterns. We're increasing the average temperatures. Now, there's been lots of scams. There's been false recording, people trying to make a point, making up data. But there's plenty of data. I mean, it's practical anecdotal evidence. I grew up on the south coast of England near the river port of Littlehampton, with the fastest flowing river in the country, the River Arun.
Okay.
I remember watching twice them raising the seawall along the river bank.
Raising along the
coast. So why would they spend millions of pounds raising the seawall and then raise it again? Because the sea level is getting higher.
Okay.
Why is the sea level getting higher? We're losing ice off land, not floating ice. It's turning into melting into liquid water, and it's raising the sea level. The sea level is rising. It's an empirical measurement. anybody that says, "Oh, it's bullshit," the temperature's not rising, they keep building seawalls higher. You might have heard of the Thames flood prevention system, a hugely complicated, the Thames barrier, hugely complicated system of rotating lock gates that they have to shut at high tide, otherwise the sea will back up the Thames and flood London. And now that's getting close to not working anymore. We had New York was flooded, wasn't it? Catastrophically, about 10, 12 years ago?
Okay.
The sea level's rising. Why? Temperature's rising, ice is melting. So going back to, yeah, I was agreeing that the consequences of untamed industrial, have worldwide consequences. Yes. Yeah. But I think the question sort of circles back to the question about the environmental impacts and how slow it is to get mines going and refining going. And part of the problem is if you're relying on private capital investment, maybe $500 million for a modest project, the people who put up that currency want to know what return they're going to get. So they want to know what the governmental policy is going to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years' time. Well, no one knows. So investment on that timescale just isn't getting done. Yeah. China is making the investments. I mean, if you look at the minerals and the wealth being extracted out of Africa, there's two routes it can take out of Africa. It can go east, it can go west. If it goes east, it goes along a Chinese Belt Railroad, which they are upgrading to carry more and more cargo, more and more trains, more and more freight. The rail route that goes west needs about $20 billion to upgrade it. They've raised about $1.5 billion. No one's interested in the West in securing access to minerals out of Africa. But China's just getting on and doing it. So we're going to get left further and further behind. Oh, Bitcoin, jackknife. Did we put a block? No, we didn't put a block on Bitcoin. But Bitcoin does tie into it. The amount of energy it uses is huge.
I think what they're saying is that the word Bitcoin is being blocked because I'm seeing Ellie and Jackknife communicating, and I was like, what's being blocked? And I asked them what was being blocked.
I thought it was a comment. We stopped talking about Bitcoin. I'm supposed to be talking about Bitcoin and gold.
I don't know. I'm going to.
But I need to call my friend Craig because he understands a lot more about it, and he generally thought it was a good idea, and it was the principle to have something outside of the banking system. But I think it's been borged. If anybody watched Star Trek, it's been assimilated into the system. If it ever was out of the system.
Well, you do kind of look like Patrick Swayze. I don't know, Patrick Stewart. Sorry. I ruined that punchline.
But it'll be interesting to see. Keep an eye on that ratio. So we're around 21, 22 ounces of gold to buy one Bitcoin. If I'm correct, I mean, it'll be volatile, that ratio, but it'll carry on falling. I think Bitcoin has peaked out. I don't think there's enough people to pile in now. I think with the ETFs and the institutions and JP Morgan and all of that crowd, I just don't think there's any fresh blood going to pour into it now. But it's lost its mojo.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. When I first started stacking precious metals, I didn't know much about it, and I temporarily got into stocks, which in 2021 and really did poorly. Did poorly with crypto after that, but not as bad. And then I started remembering things that my grandfather taught me. And he basically, the memories of him talking about silver dollars and other sorts of things led me to the concept of, what real money was. And that's when I started getting into precious metals. So on that topic, um, uh, on that topic, you quickly mentioned buying more silver. Do you personally have an idea what a good average citizen's gold to silver ratio should
Oh
be
my,
at their home?
no. I mean, I've got clients who like, you know, who regularly buy, and they may buy 500 ounces of silver and 2 ounces of gold.
Okay.
You know, that's not an unusual ratio. It's like 1 to 250.
Okay.
And part of that is they're space limited. And part of it is, you know, as we were talking earlier, so we can work out what we should do and what we think we should do today, but we get more information tomorrow. You know, I mean, I thought there was a high possibility that our government would be crazy enough to do an official gold revaluation. And then that made sense to have some gold. So if gold was revalued at 10,000 or 15,000, I would say, okay, the gold silver ratio is now 300 to 1. Sell your ounce of gold and turn it into silver, because that ratio will catch back up, and then you could turn that back in and get free gold. Now, thinking about more and looking what's going on and the state of the economy, the state of the financial system in the world, I think it's getting less likely there will be a deliberate, instantaneous revaluation, and I think we're going to revert back. To gold is just going to keep doing its own thing.
It usually does. And usually silver is kind of
and it is interesting. I think it was you I was talking to about, well, gold is beginning to take account of currency debasement. Why hasn't everything else? You know, or part of that reason is everything else starts to catch up and give account of the debasement when people realize that their reserves for the future are fugazi, are fairy dust. They don't exist until they turn them into something real. Then they rapidly try and turn them into something real. So then everything rapidly goes up into price. And whether you get into hyperinflation, which I think is 50% a month, is the technical definition of hyperinflation. It doesn't really matter if we have hyperinflation or 10, 20, 30% inflation, because if you wait 3 years, you've lost almost all of your purchasing power. So at that point, everything does adjust, and it's where it settles. But I think through it all, one of the safest places in gold and silver.
That makes complete sense, you know.
And partly because of the privacy. I mean, depending how you buy and who you buy it from, it can be a private transaction that no one ever knows you've got it.
True.
You know, and that's going to have an increasing value, because say you've got a property tax to pay, and then your property tax goes up, and you've got enough income to pay it, but for whatever reason, your digital account won't let you pay your property tax. Well, now you're in default on your property tax. So to have some private means of wealth might help pay property tax, or they keep increasing property tax so you haven't got enough digital dollars. So you have to sell some precious metals, turn them into digital dollars to pay your property tax. We've had this scenario before. I haven't done much research on it, but in 1746, I think it was. So I'm going back a bit. The Crown, i.e. Britain, reduced the amount of specie, i.e. gold and silver coin, in the colonies, in the American colonies. They started extracting it. So they did quantitative tightening, in effect, to put it into modern terminology. The effect was that even wealthy people couldn't pay their taxes because they didn't have the correct money to pay their taxes with, and they were foreclosed on. So wealthy families, millers, blacksmiths, carpenters, farmers, who were amongst the wealthiest in the community, couldn't pay their taxes. So the Crown seized their assets, sold them off for pennies on the pound. no doubt, to their cronies. And you had a group of people who were wealthy were now dispossessed vagrants. Were those the people that had nothing left to lose? Because there's a saying, isn't there? For those who lose everything, they lose it. Was that potentially a seed for the War of Independence? I think it was, because that was 30 years before. Can you imagine if you were 12, 13, 14 years old and you see your family lose everything, and you know why? You might not quite understand why, but you know why. You know who did it. You might not have a monetary understanding that. I think that sowed a seed of resentment that was going to simmer and just grow and overflow. But you don't hear many people talk about that 1746, 1747 extraction of the coinage from the colonies.
Well, that kind of makes sense, because I heard something on Citizens for Sound Money. Daniel Diaz was talking about what happened when the country was brand new.
Yeah.
And there wasn't enough coinage in the colonies to have transactions
for the increasing trade. Yeah.
And then, Ben Franklin turned on his printing press and produced the colonial dollars in excess.
Yeah.
Our very first quantitative easing.
Yeah.
And then they experienced what inflation was the result of, which I think was the spark that led us to Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah, the state shall use nothing but gold and silver coin in tender of debts.
So what you're telling us is inflation was invented because of the Brits.
Well, that was deflation. Withdrawing the coinage then is
deflation.
It is exactly what the Federal Reserve did,
which led to the inflation.
The Federal Reserve did the same in the Great Depression.
So are you telling me
they reduced the money supply?
I'm just messing with you.
L14L. Does the King of England have power to stop what's happening in their country? From what I understand, the monarch can go in through the back door into the Houses of Parliament and dissolve Parliament. So every MP loses their seat and there has to be a general election. So whether they would ever use that power, but they have it. So, and I think they have some influence. It does depend on the monarch. I do know when Thatcher went into a crazy period where she was pretending to be queen, in effect, by her diktats and her irrational behavior and her cruelty to the masses, the Queen had a word with her and told her to stop it. So the Prime Minister does have to go and have a half-hour chat with the monarch every week. Can you imagine? Wouldn't that have been awesome if the Queen was Queen of the States and Trump had to go and have a sit down for half an hour and shut up and listen? Seriously, he might actually learn something.
It is so funny because, and I don't hold this against you. I don't. I believe everyone's entitled to their opinions, but it's so funny because you were so anti-Trump that your comments are actually quite comical.
It is. I'm anti-dictator. I'm anti-fascist. I'm anti-people stealing from the poor to give to the rich.
Okay.
And that's what's happening. Now, anybody can argue until they're blue in the face, but when you give huge tax cuts to billionaires who don't freaking need any more billions or millions of trillions of dollars, and you fund that by raising the debt ceiling, you're stealing from everybody else. It's theft. And that's what this government is doing. It's despicable. And if you think I'm wrong, show me the facts. Tell me that the debt ceiling wasn't raised. Tell me that the billionaires and soon-to-be trillionaires didn't get an even better tax break extended. Tell me that the billionaires didn't double their wealth during the COVID quantitative easing. They did. They doubled their wealth. Tell me that most Americans are now having to live paycheck to paycheck. Can't afford their car payments or their mortgage or their rent, you know.
Well,
This is fact. This is fact. The rich are stealing from the poor. Productivity throughout American history, you know, Western, generally American history, productivity has just increased. It's gone like this. Still going like that. Wages tracked until 1970, and then they did this.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. So what happened? Corporations, individuals get richer. The masses, the workers get poorer. I saw an article, a diesel mechanic in Denver, worked 40 years as a diesel fitter. So a hard job, skilled job. He retired. He'd managed to pay off his 2-bedroom house. So he owned his house. So he thought he was set up for a comfortable retirement, you know, company pension, Social Security. But his area got gentrified. So his property taxes went from $2,000 to $9,000. He worked out he had to sell his house. He now lives in an RV. He worked all his freaking life for the man, making that company a lot of money, and now he's living in an RV. Now, I'm not hanging this just on Trump because he's just another useful idiot in a chain of presidents who are useful idiots. And maybe they weren't all idiots, but they were very useful to enriching the rich. I mean, flipping Nancy Pelosi said it. She was asked about capitalism. Do you know what she said? Well, dear, we're all capitalists now. You know, I think it'd be worth everybody here looking up what Marjorie Taylor Greene said about what is a patriot.
What did she say?
She said a patriot is somebody who looks out for the country, gets up and works for the country, not for their own interest, not for their own financial gain. We have a group of leech, blood-sucking politicians who may appear to do good things, and every now and then do good things, but generally they're enriching themselves and they don't really care about the consequences. As long as they and their family gets richer. Yeah, and they're not even hiding it anymore. They don't even bother to hide it anymore. Did she resign? Oh, wow. She was called a traitor by the orange guy for wanting justice for the hundreds or thousands of girls, not young women, girls who were abused by Epstein and numerous other wealthy men. She was called a traitor for doing that, for forcing the vote, the discharge petition to get a vote. You know, so anybody who thinks Trump is a good guy and he's a patriot and he's looking out for America, you're deluded.
Yeah, as I said many times, I don't trust anyone 100%.
No, but there is, you know, the so-called Trump derangement syndrome. I would say you're deranged if you think he's got the interests of his country at heart. The guy can't drive. He's never driven a car. He's always been driven wherever he wants to go. Okay? He couldn't go into a store and buy something. You wouldn't know how to diet. It's like he is so out of touch with reality and what the average American's life is. It is ridiculous. You know, and when, yeah, I'm in a juxtaposition. As a Brit, I have a king. I sort of like it and I sort of don't like it. But as an American, I don't want a king. I don't want anybody to have unchecked power.
Can we just go back to being a colony? That way you don't have to worry whether or not.
I was in Dublin. I was in Dublin a few years ago, and I was in this oh my gosh, real hardcore bikers pub, and my wife and I were having a drink in the back room with the owner with his secret stash of fine whiskies. And he looked at me and I thought, oh gosh, he's going to kill me. I'm in Southern Ireland. I'm a Brit. I'm dead. And he looked at me and said, you know what we should say to the Queen? We should say, here are the keys back to Southern Ireland. We've really messed it up, Mum. So that sort of, for all of its flaws, it's a check. It's a check on, this pursuit of power and the pursuit of dogma, the pursuit of trying to enforce a moral code on a population, that the people trying to enforce it don't follow themselves. Okay, there's this war on undocumented. There's this war on immigrants. Okay. Well, it is fact that immigrants do jobs that Americans won't. Just look at 2 of Trump's wives. They did, and one is sort of doing, jobs that Americans will not do. Aren't they?
What are they doing?
Being Trump's wife.
But bump.
You know, I'm trying to make a joke there.
Yeah.
Anyway, we sort of got off Bitcoin, didn't we? But it is tied in, because now you've got Liberty Finance. You've had the Trump coin, the Milana coin, the Barron coin. You've got Barron Trump making tens or hundreds of millions of dollars on all these crypto transactions. You've got this in crowd, getting in there first, pump and dump. You've got Liberty. What's the company that owns Truth Social? Trump Media.
Okay.
They've gone from $94 to $7 or something. They're just, everybody who liked Trump bought it thinking they were going to get rich on it, and now they've lost, So what business has the family of a president in getting, not just dabbling in crypto, but USD1, which is a Liberty Finance stablecoin, is the 4th or 5th largest in the world now. And so any foreign government can make a phone call and say, at so-and-so date, on a certain time, X million will appear. Oh, that was me. So any foreign nation or individual can bribe the president now. Untraceable, supposedly, unless they expose the transactions. That's not a good situation, is that?
Okay.
I think a president and his family, there should be absolute 100% full transparency. In fact, all senators, all representatives, all governors, 100% transparency, independent audits every day. Should they just be doing the right thing? They should be seen to be doing the right thing. And that's part of this, why I'm suspicious of the crypto. When you get that type of people involved in it. I mean, was it the Binance guy? What's his name? The Chinese guy. He pled guilty, was jailed. He's just been pardoned, hasn't he? His platform allowed Hamas to move money around, accept money. Yet he's walking free now, whilst we're sending bombs and money to Israel to blow up Hamas. We set free the person who enabled them to be funded. It's like, it is, yeah. But yes, I think I've come to the conclusion, I agree with Ron Spencer there, it is fake. But only just a little bit more fake than our dollar. It's like, they're close. The illusion of the value and of the dollar is even greater significance, I think. I mean, yes, there's going to be people going to lose everything because they've bet the farm on crypto. But every hardworking American who's saved up a pension fund is just going to be devastated when the whole thing implodes and it's revealed for what it is.
Well, that's gonna. I don't know how to answer to that, because that's some information that I've not been privy to. So, as I normally tell you, when I don't know what I'm talking about, I tell you I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I'll just make it up.
Wasn't that what Benny Hill used to do?
What, Benny Hill? We're sort of getting off.
I'm making
I think we've got people who wanted us to hear.
Yep. By the way, if we do America back to England, I want someone to teach me how to talk like you do.
Let's get back to Bitcoin.
Okay.
Yeah. So I understand the the motivations. I understand the hopes and the desires that people had that this was going to be private. It was non-government. It was non-central bank. It was peer-to-peer. I just don't think it is any of that anymore. You know, when you've got ETFs in it, you know, you've got potential hypothecation, and you've got, I don't know, does anybody here like Michael Saylor? He just seems to be so creepy.
He does seem a little creepy to me too.
And I don't want to criticize people with a squeaky voice. I'm sure there's plenty of fine people out there with squeaky voices, but he's got such a squeaky voice. And have you seen pictures of him in his house? It looks, I mean, it makes the White House, it makes the Oval Office look cultured and tasteful with all of the gold everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the reckoning is coming pretty soon as well. I mean, if Bitcoin does carry on and it does become more stable, it's definitely going to get tied into the new digital dollar.
I've always felt that was kind of like the test, you know, having us walk into the shallow end of the pool.
I think so.
You know, and yeah, I think that stablecoin, the topic of stablecoin, is just the next step in going to the deeper end of the pool.
I mean, stable is bizarre word, isn't it? It's stable because it's always equal to $1. So the stable coin is as stable as a dollar is. Well, the dollar has lost, what, 60% of its purchasing power compared to gold in the last 6-7 months.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past it. I haven't watched it that closely. I
No,
know
what I'm saying is the name stable coin, there's a clue in that. One, it's not a coin. That's a coin. Two, it's not stable.
Well, it's just like the Affordable Health Care Act, they always name it the opposite of what it really is.
Sometimes, or sometimes they name it exactly as it is. I mean, mortgage, gauge, mort, death contract until death. 50-year mortgage.
Yeah.
Take out a 50-year mortgage when what's the average age of a house by 40? Yeah, you're going to be dead before you've paid off your 50-year mortgage.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was not really very pleased with that topic. A 50-year mortgage. Some people don't even make it to 50 years.
Oh, let's have a look at. I'm sorry there, Jackknife. I haven't been following all of the comments. Could you repeat? Not decentralized because ETFs or Trump have power and influence. I wrote why that is wrong. Can you repeat the comment why you think it's wrong, but it is decentralized?
I didn't catch that earlier either.
Okay. So, I mean, the reason I think it is not decentralized is once you get an ETF, that now means, I think 16% of the total Bitcoins are in ETFs now. Now they can manipulate the price. So if the price can be easily manipulated by the bankers, it's not decentralized anymore. This may be me completely misunderstanding it, but I thought decentralized meant it was private.
Okay, Jackknife, I'm going to ask you to retype it, okay? When I don't know if you run your own channel, but when I run my own channel, I am doing multiple things, and unless I know specifically where I'm going, it's going to take me a really long time to find it. So I'd really.
I mean, I could be completely wrong. I admit it about Bitcoin. It could be the best thing ever, but I just don't feel it. I don't sense it. My gut doesn't tell me it. Everything about it tells me to avoid it. Now, can I put that down? I think I've said a few things. One about the technical side, that if a certain percentage of the miners stop mining, the whole thing collapses and can't be recovered. Now, I will get the info. I'll find that guy. He sat here for an hour and told me about it. And I sort of followed along, but I didn't take notes and I didn't record it. And he was incredibly smart about crypto. and all of that world. And he was into almost every other coin. But he said, don't go near Bitcoin because it can collapse and be unrecoverable. Now, he could be wrong. Yeah. But that was enough, one warning for me. But two, once you get the ETFs having a huge stake, and once you get personages like Michael Saylor having huge stakes, and he's bet the future of his whole business on it.
Yeah.
And then also the cost, the amount of energy it needs is increasing all the time, with every halving doubling the amount of work to produce less and less Bitcoins. And yet the mining has to continue the proof of work to validate the transactions and keep the records. At what point does the cost of our energy exceed the utility, if there is utility? And again, I would argue it seems to be most useful when it's going up in value.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things I do want to
yeah, I see what you're saying there, Jack. Except that if the information I got is right, and Iran is one of the largest, if not the largest, miner of Bitcoin, because that's how they're getting around the sanctions on their oil. So they're using their oil to generate electricity, and they use that electricity to mine Bitcoin. It is possible, and God forbid, but quite likely, we're going to have a full-on war. And part of that will be a complete attack to send Iran back 1,000 years, to demolish all civilization. I mean, that is Israel's plan, to permanently destroy any nation with any power in that whole region. So that they wouldn't have a choice on stopping. They'd have to stop if they get blown up. But we will see. I think the proof will be in the figures, won't it? I think gold is one of the best, if not the best, barometers, the best test of value and store of value. So if Bitcoin goes back to 37 ounces of gold to a Bitcoin, I think I should send Jackknife. Well, I can't send him any Bitcoin, but I can send him some gold. If I'm wrong, I'll put my gold where my mouth is. But yes, it is global. But at some point, energy becomes too expensive, and people give up. Plus, I think it's China makes most of the Bitcoin mining rigs. I think I'm correct there, and they run them to test them, get the highest efficiency, and then they sell them when they're almost becoming obsolete, when they sell them new. So therefore, people are continually having to buy new mining rigs, the latest processors, 9 nanometers, 7, 4, 2, you know. So but yeah, we will see. But I'm comfortable storing what I can in gold and silver, particularly silver. I sleep very well at night. I don't worry about power outages. Let me give you an example. I've got a friend. He lives in 3 homes or 4 homes. He's a pilot and he has a yacht. So he's got stuff everywhere. He can't find his 12-word recovery password. He's got 2 Bitcoin or 3 Bitcoin. He can't access it. He has no real idea if he'll ever be able to access it. You know, so it's gone, isn't it? No, you could say, yeah, you could forget where you buried your precious metals. But you'd be sort of foolish to bury them all in one place. But if you're relying on your 12-word password, you're burying all your wealth you've got stored in one place, aren't you? Come on, I need some feedback here. Have you fallen asleep? He's gone. I think Tiger's fallen asleep.
Here I'm talking, and somehow I turned off my mic. I apologize.
Okay.
No,
So,
I
mean,
I am getting a little tired.
If one, I mean, for me, the utility of Bitcoin would have been, if I'd known it was going to get to 24,000 and I bought it at 6, that would have been very useful.
Yeah.
But 90, having dropped back from 124, where's it go next? Is it 20 or is it back to 124?
I don't know.
So, but I'm pretty confident that with the Bank of International Settlements declaring gold a tier 1 asset, i.e., a bank does not need to keep any reserves to cover the fluctuations in value of the gold, and it's overtaken the euro, and it will soon overtake the dollar as a bank reserve. You've got the whole world central bank, the Bank of International Settlements, saying gold. I don't think that's a trick, because they're literally moving hundreds of tons of gold. Even Utah has half a ton of gold.
Understand. So I don't mean to cut you short, but we are now at 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
And, I want to bring it to a close, because I want to, lay down.
It would be good. It would be good to revisit, and let's see if we can find a real Bitcoin. I'll see if my friend Craig will come on. Okay. He really understands it, and he understands the social side of it.
That'd be an interesting.
He goes to the Bitcoin expos. He talks to lots of people. And if I've been shooting my mouth off and criticizing it unfairly, I would like to know. Like, really, I'm still not going to buy any.
Okay, so
but if it works and it carries on working and it becomes a store of value and it goes up at least as fast as the currency debasement, well, then it works. And good luck to the people who've got it. Seriously. And if it is decentralized and if it is free of government control, but I from everything I've read and heard about it, every transaction is recorded permanently.
Well, I've also heard, and this was on local silverman who allegedly looked into it, that Bitcoin is actually owned by the government. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I did hear it on that channel. But one of the things I think we've come to a conclusion is that the volatility of Bitcoin is much worse than the volatility of silver, which is much worse than the volatility of gold. And most of us in the community still live by if you don't hold it, you don't own it. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And to be honest with you, I don't think that we're going to be able to change most of the course of everything unless Citizens for Sound Money and other similar organizations are able to get a much stronger stronghold in our nation.
Although the tragedy is Citizens for Sound Money. Who's the other one? The Sound Money Defense League.
Yes, I think they're related with each other.
The tragedy is I don't hear them saying we're going to have a national complete collapse before we can start again, hopefully with a sound money. There's just no route. There's no route. The amount of perceived wealth that has to be seen that it doesn't exist, in effect destroyed, is so great now that leads to a complete collapse in our societal model. And I think it's time, the time for sound money will be individually and for a few of us that get into it.
Oh, that's a good point.
But there is. I cannot see any road for a nation to get to that point without collapse.
That goes along with Tyr's law, which is I'm getting tired. My brain's having brain fog. Where good money pushes out bad money when bad money.
Gresham's law.
I think Gresham's law is bad money pushes out good money, but Tyr's law is the opposite. When things have gotten so bad, no one trusts the money anymore. So good money pushes out.
The good money becomes money. Yeah.
So, but historically, things have to go through a terrible phase before good money is good money again.
Yeah.
So, and the question is when is that going to happen? How is that going to happen? And I don't think any of us have the omnipotence of God nor the wisdom of Solomon to know when it's going to happen. But in the process,
No, but I will pause you there. God is kind, God is good, God is great. And I do believe that the Holy Spirit is his agent, actively guiding, whispering, shouting, pointing, saying this way, don't go that way.
I'm not
We
denying that.
don't listen most of the time. So I think
I'm not denying that.
I think I have a discussion with some of my clients. Well, why in your group of peers have gone to sound money, yet everyone else in your group thinks you're crazy or is ignored? I've had this discussion and I've come to the conclusion that generally I think it's God guiding people into a lifeboat for what's coming. In effect, their own ark for the flood.
Yeah. Honestly, I think none of us have that ability, but the point I'm trying to point out is keeping in mind what we can control.
Yeah.
Taking care of ourselves, taking care of our families, taking care of our close personal friends, the people who help each other, our own community, this community. If we live in a community that the physical community outside of the YouTube world that looks after each other. I mean, just to give you a slight deviation from what we're talking about, I've already made arrangements where if Charleston, West Virginia gets overrun, if I have to bug out, because my plan is to bug in, but if I have to bug out, where I'm going to bug out and why. So, we need to, as a community, even on YouTube as a community, look out for each other, take care of each other. I know for a fact that my son who doesn't interact with us, and that's a long-winded story. I don't want to go into it, but I know for a fact that if he ends up with his back to the wall and he can't provide food for his children and his wife, despite the fact that sometimes I just want to strangle him, I'm not going to turn my back on him. And same thing with my buddies. When things happen, if it's in my power, I'm going to try to help. It's just who I am. But I will tell you, we have gone a little bit past 2 hours, and I am getting a little bit on the tired side. But I do like the idea you're thinking about bringing someone.
I think it would be good, yeah. And part of the reason I thought it'd be good is it does get us thinking about the bigger picture, the psychology of what's going on, why some people have gone the crypto route and some people have gone physical metals and some people haven't done anything. It's an interesting, and Bitcoin is big enough now. There's enough, supposed value in it, but whichever way it goes is going to change a lot of people's lives.
It will. The question is how. We can't tell that. But if it's okay with you, Ian, I'm going to bring this to a close.
Absolutely. I'm hungry.
I had a great time. I certainly always enjoy your insight with everything. No matter what approach you take, even the ones I am not sure where I feel at on certain subjects, So, and not having the wisdom of Solomon or the omnipotence of God, I do what I normally do is admit when I don't know what I'm talking about, and wait it out and see if time, which is the best test of all, will guide us in the correct direction. Plus a lot of prayer. So, if it's okay with everyone, I'm going to say good night to everyone. I'll be back with you here, Ian, in a second.
Okay.
Okay, but please stay for the outro. As always, my brother and I worked really hard at it. It's a lot of fun. And so by the way, tomorrow I'm going to go live as a test to see about the horizontal and vertical live streaming at the same time. So I hope you all will make some time to come and give me input on how it's working. You know, I did that with Surfer about a week or two ago, and it was interesting to say the least. I hope I have a little bit better time than he did. So good night, everyone. Thank you, Ian, for coming. I'll see you here in a little bit.
Come and join the stream. Gold and silver lovers chasing precious dreams. Collectors, stackers, gather round. History in your hand. Old and timeless treasures from every distant land. We are many, we are strong. In this journey we belong. From the past the stories shine. Gold and silver, yours and mine. Coins and relics, tales untold, whispers from the past. Legends live in ancient gold, memories that last. Through the ages we unite, shining side by side. Silver gleams and golden nights, a never-ending pride. We are many, we are strong. In this journey we belong. From the past the stories shine. Gold and silver, yours and mine. Coins and relics, tales untold, whispers from the past. Legends live in ancient gold, memories that last. Through the ages we unite, shining side by side. Silver gleams and gold ignites, a never-ending pride. We are many, we are strong. In this journey we belong. From the past the stories shine. Gold and silver, yours and mine. We are many, we are strong. In this journey we belong. From the past the stories shine. Gold and silver, yours and mine. Gold and silver, yours and mine. Coins and relics, tales untold, whispers from the past. Legends live in ancient gold, memories that last. Through the ages we unite, shining side by side. Silver gleams and gold ignites, a never-ending pride. We are many, we are strong. In this journey we belong. From the past the stories shine. Gold and silver, yours and mine. Through the ages we unite, shining side by side. Silver gleams and gold ignites, a never-ending pride. A never-ending pride. We are many, we are strong. In this journey we belong. From the past the stories shine. Gold and silver, yours and mine. Gold and silver, yours and mine. Through the gleams and gold ignites, a never-ending